Cotton, the most popular fabric in the world, is created from the ground up. Before being made into the fabrics you wear, it begins in the field, where it is grown and picked by industrial equipment and shipped to be processed. During the processing stage, the cotton is cleaned up, removing impurities, and then the soft, fluffy cotton you see becomes a strong fiber. The process here is designed to create combed and ring-spun cotton that has a softer feel. This type of fabric goes through an innovative spinning process that's designed to thoroughly soften and straighten each fiber. The strands are then tightly knit and woven together to create a raw fabric that is now strong enough to be worn. Next time you're choosing a shirt, take a look at the fine details to see this for yourself. Once the fabric is completed, it then gets transported to a dye house, where the fabric is dyed to the color specified by the manufacturer. The process we're showing you here is unique to Bella Canvas, which is the largest cutter and dyer of apparel in America. We take you guys inside the state-of-the-art facility to show you what it takes to make quality apparel for millions of people all over the world. As you see, once this fabric is dyed, it gets transported as these fabric rolls, which are then laid out across large cutting tables. The fabric is stacked up to 150 layers before it being mass cut. Inside of this factory, they cut 3 million units a week, and I've personally always wanted to see how these machines lay out the fabric, so let's take it out for a spin. What's the worst that can happen? So right out of the gate, there's this machine here, and it has like all of these different settings, and I see this thing, so I could just move this and it works. Oh, I'm going in reverse though, huh? How many miles per hour can it go? Let's crank this thing up. Yeah! I'm f***ing up the whole thing though. Oh shit. Mal trabajo. I messed up this whole thing. I think I did a bad job, huh?
I'm sorry.
So that's bad, huh?
To push the button. There's this button right here. Once you click and keep clicking it, it tightens up the rope on the machine, the strap.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna try to do it right this time. You know, at first glance, these machines seem to move themselves, but what I found out is that it actually requires some skill in order to tighten the tension of the fabric as it's being laid out. The faster you go, the faster that trigger finger's gotta be in order to keep up. Once the fabrics are laid out, the cutting machine arrives to cut the fabric in the shape of the required design.
This is the cutting machine that essentially takes all the digital patterns that are created during the design stage, and they input it into this software, which allows this machine to just automatically cut the panels, which are then shipped to the facilities where they're going to be sewn. Right here, I don't know if you guys can see the screen, but it's literally showing you where it's going to be cutting next, and as it's cutting, it's actually vacuuming the entire operation. So it vacuums it in order to make sure that the seal and the fabrics lay very flat, so there's no differences when it's actually cut.
These robotic cutting machines ensure every single piece is cut precisely as it follows a designer's blueprint. Keep in mind, not every factory has something like this. These machines make it possible to get a consistent fitting shirt every single time. Once the panels are cut, they're placed on carts and moved to the next part of the process.
And so just wanted to take you guys behind the scene here as we show you guys where this fabric is going before it's being sewn. And I got my boy Brett, got the man C's right over there. But guys, an interesting thing that we saw here is, as you can see right here, these are actually not moving. So it makes you wonder, how is that moving, right? So I wanted to show you guys something really quickly here. In between these lines here, there's actually lasers. So there's a laser guided system that actually brings the fabric, as soon as it crosses a path, it activates the new beams here. So watch, check this out. Moving, not moving, and moving. Check this out, go check this out. Bring the camera a little closer. Moving, not moving, and moving. Yeah. This is how the fabrics are transported in masses in order for them to be bundled and finally cut. So watch. Ooh, you would have thought these two crashed right now, but they didn't, because of the way that everything is being automated. And I feel that automation in the sewing process and in the manufacturing facility such as this that's based in Los Angeles with American workers, it's the way, it really is the way of the future. And companies like Bella Canvas are able to still produce a USA strong while being able to sew in different countries and put out a quality product. So this is the way that things are moving. And like this fabric, let's get moving over to the bundling stage. We can show you guys how that works.
So these fabrics back here, as you guys can see, is the bundling machine. So it's making sure that the fabrics are safe as they're being transported to the next facility, which actually does the sewing. Them investing into these types of logistics allows them to keep a quality product from the beginning all the way till it's done.
The scale of this operation is huge, guys, and as you guys can see, from the forklifts to the cutters to everybody that's a part of this operation, it really is something that requires a huge investment in the production as well as the logistics and the team behind it. Thousands of people are employed here in order to get this to actually work. So you can imagine that it's easier to cut corners than it is to do things right. So when a company invests in doing things the right way, it really makes a difference in the market and it really makes a difference in the world.
With wrap fabric ready to be transported, these containers play a logistical role in transporting materials needed for various parts of the production process. Globally, these containers travel and carry mass quantities of graze goods, which come from all over the world, which are then dyed in an eco-friendly way in Los Angeles. A fun fact is that the USA, China, and India produce over 50% of the world's cotton. This business chooses to dye unprocessed fabric in Los Angeles in order to reduce the environmental impact commonly associated with dyeing fabrics in other parts of the world. Once they are cut and dyed, the majority of the production is transported to Central America, where they are sewn up and shipped back to the USA Fulfillment Center. Since we know how fabric is being dyed and transported for production, we were wondering how they ensure the sewing factories are taking care of their people and environment. We spoke with Javier to get the details.
You know, Bella Canvas is making sure that every factory that is part of our supply chain is 100% certified by RAP, which is a certification that is granted to companies that are fully in compliance with labor laws and regulations in the different countries where we operate. The efforts that we made to make sure that the workers that are part of our supply chain are being treated fairly, and not only in terms of the compensation, also, but all the social benefits that they receive. Recently, we were approved also to become a participating company with the Fair Labor Association, which is like the gold standard for our industry. We are in the process of certifying the entire supply chain. It's a lengthy process and it will take some time, but eventually the company will be fully accredited with the FLA.
North America is made up of multiple Latin American countries, and although sewing also occurs outside of the USA, Bella Canvas promotes a USA Strong initiative which employs thousands of workers in the USA, while also producing a line of apparel that is made here in the Los Angeles facility.
So as you guys can see right here, in this sewing factory, they have literally over 150 employees, skilled employees actually sewing the t-shirts. And right here, as you guys can see on this stack, these are the cut panels we were showing you guys earlier. More importantly, I just wanted to share with you guys some of my thoughts and some of the things that happen in a factory such as this, the skill that's required to actually do a job like this. So this is my man Felix right here. And I won't disturb his work that much, but as you guys can see, it requires very skilled thought. So with that being said, a lot of workers actually only do one part of every garment, which then goes on to the next person to complete it. And funny enough, to show you guys like how difficult it might be, my brother actually, hey, come over here. My brother actually knows how to sew. And we were discussing like, hey, you think you can do it?
Well, I'll have to try. I've never used this type of machine before.
Okay, so you're already making excuses. Do you think you could do it or not?
I'm gonna have to try, let's see.
All right, so Felix él quiere calar a cómo...
¿Puedo usar su máquina por poquito?
A ver si lo hace, ¿verdad?
Si lo hago, si lo riego, ya sabes, me corren a mí mejor.
That's funny. Wow. This machine is like, this is a Pegasus W600, and it's very beefy. Does it have 2 needles? It has 2 needles.
It's a 2-needle machine. Let me reference his work. So he folds that in like that.
So right out of the gate, we see that there's a reason why workers are actually focusing on one task, because there's a lot of little pieces to the garment. And if you were to try to sew everything yourself, you'd probably screw up the entire shirt, or it won't be as efficient. So my brother Caesar here is skilled in this. If I were to try, I would have probably lost my finger. But look at this guy. He's actually doing it.
I don't know if I just cut the string off though. This pedal's different. It's not like my machine I have at home where when you push back on the pedal, it doesn't lift the foot up. So I might have cut the thread earlier. I don't know. See, so like every time I lift it up. Yeah, but look at the quality though. Like it's not like what he was doing. You know, like I just like lost. You know, this is like I don't know if I can use this or not. So. Like comparing the quality.
That's
to what
pretty good.
What's going on here, guys? You're holding up my line. We gotta get going.
My bad.
You know?
Sorry.
We kicked your worker out.
Come on. Let's get going.
Yeah, go.
How's it going, bro?
Good, good.
Welcome,
welcome. Thank you guys for bringing us behind the scenes here, man.
Come
Sorry
here,
that
man.
my brother slowed down the production line.
I know.
He had to get canned.
Yeah.
but overall, like you guys seem to be running a really tight ship. How many units do you think Bella Canvas is producing on any given day?
So about a week, we're showing about 3 million units.
Oh, wow.
3 million t-shirts. So the average about 600,000 t-shirts per day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a lot.
What would you say is one of the things that the workers here need to have in order to be successful in this career? How many years have they been sewing for?
So some of these people have been working with us from the beginning. So about 10 to 15 years they've been here. It's people that come here every day. They've been here ever since the beginning, you know.
Oh, wow. What type of fulfillment do you think they find in the sewing? Do you think they need to have a passion to work in a factory like this?
You definitely have to. You definitely have to enjoy it. But as you can see, everybody comes in here and everybody's pretty happy, no sad faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it's part of our culture now, we're a big family.
Once the products are sewn, they undergo a quality control process that ensures every t-shirt meets their test. It's pretty crazy to see that there are real people working on every single t-shirt that you wear.
So this is one that passed the test right here.
Yeah.
This is one that can go out to a customer.
Yeah, definitely. It's ready to go.
And I think that's the beauty of like what a lot of people don't get to see is the fact that even though things are being mass produced, there's real people that are like handling your products.
Doing it.
And there's real love that goes into it, or real passion, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have a passion for sewing and you gotta have a passion for this industry in order to stay in it with, 15 years?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of time and energy that goes into one garment. And it's a lot of people that handle that one garment.
Yeah, it's
not just one
about
person.
from the beginning to the end, there's about 13 people that the
That
t-shirt
touch
goes
this.
through
Right.
until it's completed, not counting people in the distribution center,
Right.
So yeah.
Literally, hundreds of hands are going into the making of your product that you get at home. And I think a lot of the time we do miss the fact that there is a personal touch to every single garment you
There
get,
is.
whether it's mass produced or whether could be considered handmade. I mean, it really is, because somebody's making it with their hands. So with that being said, I wanted to leave a little note here. You think I could leave a note in this box that says like, made with love?
Regardless of whether the finished garments come from their Central American manufacturing facilities or in LA, they ultimately arrive at the fulfillment center where they are responsible for organizing and shipping to distributors and brands all over the world. Many entrepreneurs and small businesses rely on Bella Canvas and suppliers like them to stock t-shirt blanks they can use to sell their designs.
Now, this company doesn't stay in business by simply selling random designs. And a bigger challenge that they also have is the fact that they're selling to customers of all shapes and sizes. So design-wise, they have to cater to a very large market. So I want to go ahead and actually show you guys the behind the scenes of what it actually takes to design for a mass market, for millions of customers all around the world. And we're actually going to see how they choose the colors that are guaranteed to sell through to a large audience. So let's check that out. Your room.
Okay, yeah, this is our room.
So, oh man, right out of the gate. So this is where you guys do fittings?
Yep, this is our fit room. We spend a few hours a week in here with models and styles, and we just make sure that the styles fit on our base size models the best we can.
Interesting. So like as I walked through here, I felt like my equilibrium was almost off because obviously there's a sound panel. But what was the purpose for a sound panel in here? This is kind of cool.
Well, no, this is actually an Ellsworth Kelly from 1956. It's a sound barrier. Yeah, he's a California abstract painter.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. It's actually just absorbs sound, like so we're not bouncing around the room, and it's a little easier to tolerate each other in the fit rooms.
I thought it had like a real I thought it was a real painting.
No, I mean I don't think it would be behind a glass door if that were the case, if it were a real painting.
Oh man, no, this is pretty cool. So this is where you guys fit your models, because you guys design for millions of people, different body types, right?
We do. We try.
Right.
We try. We're trying our very best. Yeah.
So how can you walk us through how you are able to do that?
We want to fit a multitude of body shapes and sizes. We'll start with a base size medium men's, for instance. For a unisex t-shirt 3001, we'll start with our men's medium. He's our basic block. And so we start fitting on him when we have it tuned up the way we like, the way it fits, the drape, performance. We'll go on to the next size. So we'll fit eventually a full size run. So if there's a small all the way to like 4XL, let's say, we'll fit every single size. Yeah, so we're trying to take those silhouettes into consideration.
So you mentioned earlier that you like to work directly with the manufacturing team. So as a design director, how does working with the manufacturing arm make sure that what you guys are creating is going to be something beneficial for the world at large?
Working on the ground level and just getting to the factory, we have a communication line that helps us build product. The delicate design programs that we have, we try to make sure that there's no pieces in between our sewing and our brain. So the design vision and the sewers are kind of on the same page. We develop fabrics and samples, we send them back and forth until we like them exactly the way we see them fit in a production setting. And that's important to us. So that's part of the reason we have that connectivity tissue between sewing and the design vision, is that we close the gap on all the pieces that would go wrong by seeing each other in person, by working together as a team.
So far as that, this is a super detailed process. They are very meticulous about what they do. And the whole team is here to make adjustments in case there's anything to be done. So this isn't the first sample set that they had to actually fit. This is actually a rendition. So what they're doing is essentially making sure that it all goes to spec before it hits the mass production.
Okay, so we're just gonna run through the specs again really quick.
And like for instance, the shirt I'm wearing, this is actually one of your guys' more latest styles.
Yeah, it's a newer one.
So this is something that you and your team came up with.
Yeah.
So what inspires you for new designs, and how do you guys kind of maybe make sure that they stay in the market for a while versus it just being a trend?
Yeah, this might be a trend, you know? It's a raw edge trend, so it's like, I can't say this will be in, the word forever is very scary. Right. Fashion and forever don't really jive in a certain way. So what we'll try to do is, what I like to say is like make the very best styrofoam cup that you can see at every single coffee station forever, without it leaking. It's keeping its heat, all those other components that a styrofoam cup would have, but ours is a basic t-shirt. We can dress it and skin it in different ways that speak to different trends, like raw edge seam work or pockets out to the side, or however we want to dress it. Right. The core block that you see is our crew neck sweatshirt, which we feel very comfortable selling to a large community. People can buy them, print on them, embellish them in that market. But in this case, they can buy the normal crew pullover with raw edges everywhere to make it slightly more trend forward or fashion forward.
It's not enough to have a great design and fit today. As consumers, we need to ensure that our purchasing decisions do not support things that are unethical and oppressing others. That's where businesses such as these are raising the standards, by not only giving people an amazing product, but by being transparent and doing things differently. From how they treat their workers to the green initiatives in place that are minimizing the environmental footprint. On the other hand, there are real problems happening around the world with apparel manufacturing. The constant drive to compete on price in order to sell garments for pennies on the dollar has resulted in producing in unsafe environments where buildings are failing and chemicals are being spilled into the environment. The way your favorite products are being made today will drastically affect the way our world looks like tomorrow. For sneakers, this starts by using a shoe last and some masking tape. The The tape is then applied around the shoe last, which becomes the foundation of your sneaker design. The person designing then draws in the design on top of this tape, which is then peeled off and cut to create the pattern. From here, the pattern designer creates a digital pattern, which is then manipulated for production. As you can see, there are a lot of details in creating the patterns for shoes, but don't let this step overwhelm you.
After this, we need to go to the laser machine to get all the pieces. That way we can start to cut in the materials.
Perfect, let's do it.
Once the patterns are completed, they are sent to the cutter. This factory actually has a laser cutting table, which takes the information it is given and makes the pattern pieces that will be used during the sampling process of this shoe design. With these pieces and information from the designers, the sample maker is able to create this one-off design. Once the samples are finalized, it's time to go to production. It's important to note that this factory produces thousands of shoes a day, and they work on various styles every single day. So we're going to take you through the entire process a shoe would go through once it is ready to be manufactured. This is something that is rarely shared, so you guys are getting a behind the scenes look at this. Are you ready?
So we're actually here at the molding location. This is where they create the bases. This machine right here is the one that makes it all possible. So we're here with my man Abram, who's the guy in charge of this entire process. And he's going to show us right now exactly how this all goes down. So essentially what he's doing here is he's pretty much putting this whole thing together. So he takes the designs that a designer will send him, and he'll actually create a 3D model of it, because those 3D models become these types of bases that you see here. So this was a shoe design that somebody created, and he's in charge of making sure that the shoe design is going to fit the base. This is the molding. So this is all really where it all starts right here. And he makes sure that the designs that were envisioned come to life. So that's what he's doing on the computer right now. And once that design actually gets created, it goes over to that machine where the mold for this comes to life, which is a metal piece, which I'll show you guys right now.
Right now we're getting an inside look at how the CNC machine produces the molds for the sneaker soles. Those pieces flying out of this machine are scorching hot. Normally, the doors are closed, but we wanted to get you a close-up shot for you guys. The crazy part is that I could take up to 10 hours to create the mold for one sneaker design. Keep in mind, this mold is just for one size. Typically, shoes come in more than just one size, so you can imagine how much time is spent creating all the sizes that you need for a design. Once the mold is completed, it is measured and inspected to ensure that it will function correctly during the injection process. Part of this inspection includes ensuring that it closes correctly, because if it doesn't seal correctly, the sole of the shoe is at stake. The man right here is slamming it shut in order to mimic the pressure of the machine you will see in an upcoming part. And the blue material that is applied will show how close or how far they are to having the proper spacing.
So what's happening here is they take the CNC molds, put it over here. This guy makes sure that it's gonna actually close right, because it's a pretty big deal for it not to close. So it needs to close real tight, because then it's actually injected with the molding material, and essentially it's put together on one side. The sole pretty much sits on here, then the other base comes in and closes on it. And then what ends up happening is they inject the actual material, and your final product looks like this, which is what we're gonna head over to actually show you how those pieces start from here and then actually become something like this, which ends up going into a shoe.
But before we get into the next part, I want to show you the metallization process. This is a step for sneakers or heels that require a metal and bright look to them. During this phase, plastic is essentially turned to real looking metal. And as you see, the workers here clean and prepare the plastic for what's to come.
Once it's cleaned up, they actually put it through this machine, which applies a base coat to it, which will actually allow the metals to adhere to it.
Next, a metal is evaporated in a vacuum chamber. And that's a smart way to put it, but essentially this thing right here actually creates plastic into metal. Here are some finished pieces that recently underwent this process, and they are now ready to be inserted into the sole as the mold is injected. As you can see, this block was created with the CNC machine that we just saw a few minutes ago. The machine injects the material for the sole, which is then instantly pressurized and cured, resulting in a finished sneaker sole that is ready for production.
this is the finished piece. So as we just showed you guys inside, this is how it all comes together. Look at the quality on that. This is the finished sneaker here. Every little piece has a process and it all needs to be checked and verified in order for the final shoe to come out and actually be ready to be worn. In this area here, they do the final cleaning of the actual molds.
As I said earlier, this factory has multiple styles being made at any given time. And although the manufacturing part I'm about to show you is a different sneaker design, every design goes through a similar process. As with anything in apparel manufacturing, the sewing process begins with the cutting of the fabrics. In this factory, if the order quantities are low, the fabric is laser cut.
So once the actual shoe is cut, they actually notch it here. So as you can see here, they notch these for the size of the shoe. And it's a little hard to say that this is a size 2 or a size 3. You know, they're really close. But the way that they do it is by indicating it here. So this is a size 2, a size 3, a size 4. And then what they do with the colors, by colors. So they know that this color is a size 2, and they'll put it on the corresponding shoe size. When you have orders of over 5,000 pairs, it doesn't really make that much sense to laser cut the fabric. What they do is they'll actually create a metal piece, which is essentially what's going to cut through the entire fabric. And instead of trying to cut pieces individually, they simply mass cut them all. So let me show you guys. This is the piece that they use to die cut. Very sharp. Essentially it gets pressed through the fabric, which allows them to cut mass quantities very efficiently.
The dies that are used for production are stored and organized on site, ready for use when needed. So now that the fabric is cut and the soles are made, it goes through a very intricate sewing process.
So in this area, essentially what they're doing is they're creating the front of the shoe. So if the front of the shoe needs like extra backing so it could be reinforced, they apply the glue and then they're able to actually adhere that slight piece of foam, which reinforces that shoe, and then it's ready to go on to the next process.
As you can see, a sneaker has a lot of components that need to be sewn together, which requires the hands of many skilled sewers. It's amazing to see that from the heel of the shoe to every little detailed stitch, a human and a machine make it possible.
It starts from back here and it works its way up back and then over to the other side, where at the end of this production line, they actually have the finished shoe.
From gluing to stitching to even pressure sealing, the manufacturing process is intense, and it's the reason why minimums for production on sneakers are so high. As you can see, there is a variety of steps involved with sewing up a shoe. Belts are used to move the pieces to the next person in the process.
As you guys can see, slowly but surely the shoe's coming together. Every little piece and component and person plays an important role to making sure that the shoe has a good quality at the end of the production run. So this is starting to become a little bit more like a shoe. First I thought maybe it was a baby apron if I wasn't here, but since I'm here I know it's a shoe, right?
These sewing machines are a beast, allowing the sewers to quickly stitch up any angle of the shoe. So with the top of the shoe completed, the next part is in combining it to become a finished product. This is where the shoe last comes into play. Keep in mind, each last represents a shoe size. How many lasts do you think are required for an entire size run? The top of the shoe is pressed onto the shoe last in order to join the sole in the upcoming process. Check out the homie Jose as he operates this robot. The shoe then goes into Pablo's court where he bangs the out of it in order to conform to the last. With the final press of a button, the top of the shoe is finally fitted to the last, ensuring closure from the front and the heel. The bottom is then grinded down a bit in order to prepare it for the sole.
In this part of the process, they're getting the actual sole and they're putting the glue that's gonna actually adhere to the top part. So this shoe is a lot closer to being ready to be done finally.
From here, the top of the shoe goes through its final prepping process before joining the sole. Shoutouts to the homie Noel, from appearances in multiple Fast and the Furious movies to making sneakers. He's hooking this world up. And finally, the uppers and lowers are aligned and sealed together by this hydraulic press. From here, the last is removed and the shoe is officially ready for the finishing details. The finishing touches involve gluing the insoles and passing it down to the final quality control check. The finished shoes are then boxed up and shipped to customers and retailers.
Today, we're here. Oh, my man.
What's up, John? Good to see you.
Dude,
thanks for coming in.
Likewise. Thanks for having us here. And I was speaking with everybody about the importance of made to order, but what better way to get it than from the man himself?
Well, thanks, John. Appreciate it, man. So if you're looking to start a clothing line and want to keep things legit, I would definitely consider doing a made to order type of process. It's essentially where you're getting orders on your website, and in the back end, you're working with a partner that's fulfilling those orders as you're getting them. The benefits to made to order is that it reduces your upfront capital risk. You're not shelling out a ton of cash up front to go and get product made. Instead, you're keeping even, right? So as cash is coming in, you're spending cash to make products. The second thing is made to order is like a really fast process. So it lets you rapidly prototype designs, test out things, find out what's gonna work for you, for your brand, for the niche market you're going after. And then as soon as you find something that works, scale it up really seamlessly. And then the third thing is focus, focus, focus. So by working with a partner to get your products created, you don't get sucked into all the manufacturing and stocking things in your closet, and every day you're opening up your laptop and shipping orders. Those are all the things that you absolutely need to do to have a clothing line. But if you're doing those things, you're not focused on marketing, sales, and really growing the clothing line. So it's a really good way to get started.
It starts with the DTG, guys. So the DTG is essentially direct to garment printing, and we literally created these orders earlier this morning in order for them to get fulfilled right here as we're making this video. So throughout this video, you guys will see that.
Let's jump in and check it out.
Do it. So as you can see, this is artwork that we submitted. It's getting into the system here. And this DTG printer is actually reading those files, and it's gonna print full color, quality photo onto a t-shirt that we provided, and that they actually are able to source and you could choose from online. What's going on right now, literally, we sent our design over, this guy just laid the t-shirt down, and it's getting printed right now as we're speaking, okay? So this is all being done in real time, and DTG allows you to essentially print full color on any garment, whether it's cotton, polyester, or any blends. And it's key as you guys are building a made-to-order brand and an e-commerce brand. There it is, guys. It's one part of many that come into actually creating your own collection using made-to-order. Now, it's important to note that this video is also a part of a full course that we have available, which is also going to be linked down below. So if you guys are really interested in building out your brand and you need the resources, additional suppliers, or perhaps a little bit more help, definitely make sure that you consider checking that out. But before we get to all of that, I want to show you guys this entire process to really help you see how you could build your brand with no money. All right, so let's head on over to the other side of this. All right, you guys, so what you're seeing right here is the actual dryer. Now, during the drying process, the artwork that was applied with the DTG is actually cured into the shirt, allowing the shirt design to last. All right, so I'm actually like getting ahead of myself, but I really want to grab it right now. Ugh. There it is. Check it out. This was one of the designs that we submitted. And as you can see, this is obviously just a black on white design. Comes out super clean. And you wouldn't be able to really tell the difference if this was screen printed or direct to garment printed, which is the beauty of using a direct to garment printer to make the designs. You're not limited by the colorways. Obviously this was just a simple black and white one, but we have a full color one coming out right now. What's important to note is that you want to make sure that you create a collection that's cohesive, and later on in this video we're going to jump into those details as well as to like what you really need to consider to design the collection that's going to sell online. Now if you were to do this design on a screen print, you now have two different colors which they would charge you a screen charge. All right, so just out of the gate, being realistic, you guys would have to pay $50 just to create one sample. All right, by using a Pleek or a made-to-order system, you are able to design all of these different apparel designs, and literally you don't have to make them until they're sold. That's the key with building your brand with $0, is in using the funds in the right way. All right, so instead of spending $1,000 on 100 screen printed shirts, you can use those $1,000 to actually go market your brand and start making the sales, and then the shirts are being made at the same time. Isn't that genius? So that's the beauty of working with a supplier like a Pleek and utilizing a platform such as Shopify. And we're literally going to show how that is all made in a few minutes right upstairs. Right now what we want to show you guys is how the labeling and how the affixing of those labels helps create your brand. Cool guys, so now that we had the DTG completed, the next step that I feel is very original to what a Pleek does is the labeling of your garments. So I constantly get questions like, John, how do I apply my own labels to the garments? How do I, like I'm using blank t-shirts, how do I actually put my own brand in them so people don't know that I'm using blank t-shirts? Well, what a Pleek does here is they actually relabel your apparel, which is genius, because it allows you to use blank apparel to actually build your brand. And what I want to show you guys right now is that process. So as you guys can see right here, they're taking the design that we just quickly mocked up in order to apply it and show you guys this example. And this label machine makes it right on the spot. When she has this label, she's able to take the shirt order that you put in and easily affixes it to it. So it keeps a clean look, and your customers will never know that you're just using a different brand. So this is one key selling point when it comes to a Pleek and over other drop shipping and fulfillment companies, is that they do offer this service to fully private label your own brand. And as you guys can see, I created the mock-ups and we sent these mock-ups over last minute. So let's see how it comes out. There it is guys, check it out. This came out really clean. The team actually made this here for us this morning because I didn't have a chance to order the woven labels. But as you guys can see, it comes out super fresh. And this is your own branded t-shirt. All right, you guys, so now that you guys see how the DTG process and the labeling process for your apparel line works, the next thing that you need to consider in order to build out your brand's products is embroidery. Now, the embroidery process is one that allows you to really get creative with how you embroider, but there are some limitations, right?
Yeah, definitely. So embroidery is great for any fleece products. So that would be like crew neck sweatshirts and hoodies and joggers and that type of stuff, as well as headwear. So it's definitely the go-to embellishment way or way to get your artwork on hats, caps, all that type of stuff. In general, there are some restrictions with embroidery, so you just want to manage colors overall, meaning you want to have a limited set of colors. Obviously, embroidery is created by stitching your designs into things, and so you don't have an unlimited palette to work from. And then just overall design complexity, you can't embroider something like a photograph. It just needs to have like a limited amount of like fine details and stuff like that. So like illustration or graphic artwork, text, all those types of things are great examples.
You now have your design. So with these designs in hand, we're going to run a couple of other designs on different hats. With that in hand, you are now closer to fulfilling the orders. So the orders that we submitted here today are going to get fulfilled, and that's the next process that we're getting to, is in seeing how the whole entire collection and the line that you created gets fulfilled and shipped to your customers without you having to be here and without you having to put out all this money to create everything. Because the key strategy here is create designs, sell them, and then make them and ship them to collect on your profits. All right, it's that simple. Let's head on over to look at fulfillment now. So now that you guys have your apparel printed, labeled, and you have your headwear embroidered, the next step in actually fulfilling these orders is fulfillment, right? And I wanna say that the important thing about fulfillment and about this process and the made to order process as you guys are building and developing your brand is in finding a supplier that can do this all for you. All right, so typically, you had to kind of piece all of these projects out yourself. So if you wanted to create your own brand, you needed to find a blank that you could use. You needed to either screen print your design, which required you to actually set up a couple hundred units for production. And then you actually needed to find a sewer that could sew on your labels. Well, all of this is done in-house. And as you guys can see, there's ways to also add custom woven labels to the t-shirts, which fully brand your brand, guys. So you now no longer have to take everything on yourself or even have to put any capital out in order for this to happen. All right, that's key in starting a clothing line with no money legitimately. All right, and we're gonna show you guys this and much more through the academy and the products that we have available for you guys to purchase, as well as the system that you guys can access from Applique. All right, this makes it possible to do all this on your own with little knowledge in technology, as long as you have an idea and you have a vision for your brand. So let's go check out how the fulfillment process works so you guys can see that you no longer have to stack inventory in your mama's garage or in your apartment and get kicked out by your landlord. You can literally do this on the go from anywhere that you go, from your laptop, from your cell phone. You manage your customers, you do the work in promoting it and putting it out to the world, which we're gonna share. And then we're also gonna show you guys how this is all done on the back end. All right, it may seem like a lot, but let's go check out the fulfillment process.
What's up, guys?
What up, man? So we got some orders here for you.
Yeah, dude, I saw your order coming through. All right, so when we're doing fulfillment, it's really a two-part process. The first part is just always a quality check. Make sure that the product that we're shipping out is the right product. So we've got our tag set up here, and that'll pull our order up. And basically we have a ton of software automation to help us make sure everything's getting shipped out correctly. So for this particular product, we can get it pulled up here. We see that we have our digital print, our labeling, everything's good and it's set, and the product looks fresh. We will take this tag off, and then a big part of the shipping process is just making everything look clean and nice so when the customer gets it, it's proper. So we will quickly fold it. Every individual piece will get polybagged, so in like a clear plastic mailer like this, just to keep the shipment safe when it's in the mail in case it's raining or it's snowing somewhere in the country. You don't want to show up with a wet t-shirt. And then we'll go ahead and do this for everyone. And another big part of the fulfillment process is we will package orders in a gray poly mailer. You'll see there's no branding on it. It doesn't say Applique anywhere. And we will be able to go and print out your label here. And of course, your shipping label has your own branding on it. So you'll see your shipping information can have all of your own company name, company info. Same with your packing slip. The packing slip will always go inside the package so your customer knows the pieces that are being sent to them. And then we'll seal this guy up.
And it's ready to be fulfilled. Guys, that is the fulfillment and the creation process that happens right here in Applique's workshop. And it's something that you guys can easily do as you guys are starting your brand with no money. All right, so let's head on upstairs where we're gonna talk about how you can actually make this thing happen from the comfort of your home. We're gonna share the tools that you need as well as the system and how it operates.
All right, guys, now that we've seen how product gets made, it's time to plan out your collection. There's a lot that goes into collection planning, and we're gonna boil down the most important details for you. Remember, if you're just starting your clothing line and you're going for the lean route, we have to adapt a pretty traditional retail strategy to make it work for e-commerce. The number one mistake that people make when they're planning their collections is they try to go too large, and they're thinking 20 or 30 pieces that need to go into this collection. It really comes from traditional fashion and 4 seasonal collections and creating line sheets and selling through retail and boutique channels. But since you're going to be selling direct to your customers through your own online web store, you want to keep your collection small. You should really be thinking about 3 to 5 pieces and releasing those collections far more rapidly. So think about a single collection of 3 to 5 pieces per month. And you'll get a lot of benefits out of that. The first benefit is that as you go to market your collections, customers are not going to be overwhelmed by too much choice. So instead of having to try to make a decision of 1 of 15 products, they'll quickly be able to see your entire collection, be able to understand it. Of course, you've done a really good job of building that line cohesion using labeling and really making a strong brand impact. All of your artwork needs to be coordinated so it feels like a cohesive collection as well, but you'll get a lot of e-commerce conversion rate benefits over reducing that overall amount of choice that your customers have to experience as they want to support your line and your collection. The second benefit that you're gonna get is you can do things much more quickly. Instead of coordinating artwork files for 20 or 30 different pieces, you're only working with a handful of pieces. It's super manageable. If you wanna do sampling for your own photography needs, it's really cheap and cost effective to get samples produced for you. So that's a second benefit that you're gonna get out of it. And third, and most importantly, having a small collection helps you line up all of your marketing efforts that go into it. Because as soon as you have your collection finalized and you have your samples and your store set up, you're gonna wanna take that out to social media and start crushing it. And by having these smaller collections, it allows you to constantly be releasing new product. And that allows you to go back to the same people and let them know that something new has happened, you have a new collection, and it's a reason to consistently bring prospective and existing customers back to your web store and get them to keep purchasing and building that like higher lifetime value that you want to get out of your customers. So that's all about how to create and plan collections for doing dropship e-commerce clothing line.
A common question you may be asking yourself is, what design programs can I use in order to actually design my line? If you're a creative designer and if you know how to navigate things, Photoshop and Illustrator are going to be the tools that you guys should consider looking into as you're developing your clothing line. They allow you to quickly mock up illustrations as well as create the vector files that you need, whether it be for embroidery or whether it be for t-shirt designs, or even if you're getting into some of the cut and sew aspects of it as you're growing your brand. Photoshop and Illustrator are great tools to have, and they're going to be linked in the show notes down below, as well as some other free resources that I include as a part of this video. All right, and then the next thing, if you're not so tech savvy or perhaps you don't have the time to learn a new design program, another thing I highly consider and encourage that you guys consider is into hiring this out to graphic designers who are skilled in the trade. All right, there's platforms such as Design Crowd and many others, which I'll leave in the notes down below, that you guys can access and actually start working with designers in order to create the ideas that you have. Whether you have them in a sketch or whether you have an inspiration board of where your line is going, these graphic designers will be able to help. So once you guys actually have those design files, the next step is into actually bringing them to life. All right, and this is where Applique and other fulfillment services are allowing you to essentially create new products without having to manufacture them and not know if they're gonna sell or not. So essentially, Applique has a new Shopify app that's available through Shopify. So what I'm gonna show you guys right now is how that app integrates and allows you to design your collections, which are made in this factory and shipped directly to your customer without them knowing that it's going from here to there. All right, so come on over and I'll show you guys how that's done. All right, you guys, in order to get started, I highly encourage that you check out the show notes down below to follow along, as well as get your 14-day free trial from Shopify, which will allow you to sell online. All right, and once you create that account, you'll have a dashboard that looks something like this. All right, this is a test account that we created where we're gonna be showing you guys how easy it is to actually integrate Applique to your Shopify store and then launch your online site. Now in this video, it's gonna be more of a condensed version, so definitely be on the lookout for the upcoming video where we walk you step by step through actually creating this online site and then going to market with your brand. All right, so what you'll do is you'll go to the App Store, and on the App Store you can plug in a bunch of different apps where Applique is one of them. So we have already installed it onto our Shopify account, but if you're new, you'll simply search for Applique right here and it'll come up right here ready for you to install. Once you install it, it'll ask you to create an account, and that's free, so you don't have to pay anything. And once you create that account, you'll essentially have access to Applique's full back-end dashboard. What's important here is this launch checklist. So before you get any orders started, make sure that you add a payment method. Consider setting up a woven label option, which will allow you to brand every single product that goes out of their door as your own branded product. The third step is in adding a shipping label. So essentially you want to put your brand's information and your brand's address versus it showing Applique's information. So you'll simply do that right here. And these are essentially your 3 steps in order to launch. And let's jump into how you can actually customize some products.
So Applique has a variety of products that you guys can customize, so you guys know what you're looking for and what you're looking at in terms of product pricing and what you can expect. So essentially, they have a bunch of different options, hoodies from joggers to jackets to even denim jackets that you customize. So for this example, we're just gonna go with the classic Bella Canvas 3001 t-shirt. Once you click on it, you'll find a bunch of information right here related to bulk quantity orders. So Applique does do mass quantity ordering if you guys need it. But if you're doing a print to order model, then you won't necessarily need to look at that right now. They do have an option right out of the gate to customize a pocket tee. So if that's for your brand, I encourage that you try this out, customize some pocket tees. For this example, we're just gonna go with a classic logo tee and we'll show the different options that you have to customize it on the back end. All right, so we'll get started with uploading a logo. And essentially this is our brand's logo here, which you'll see that this is a transparent background with a yellow and black. You have different options to customize this. Digital print is essentially direct to garment, which is what we showed you guys earlier in this video, which allows you to print full color without having all the different screen setups. Screen printing does require quantities of 100 or more, and your artwork is limited to colors. So this is where you could choose the different colors that you'd want for your screen print. A cut and sew option is more of an option where you could kind of applique your brand, use different fabrics to actually create the design that you're envisioning. So you have a couple different options to choose for your fabric. So if you want to use like a camo setup, you can see how they can integrate some of the camo fabrics. A bunch of different options to use real fabric on the design. And then you also have the embroidery option, which is limited to colors as well, and it's also limited to size dimension, so just keep that in mind. But for this example, we'll go with a digital print, and you can actually see how that's gonna look on your garment. Now, it's important that you guys note here that this is essentially just for reference. So this is gonna be for you guys to just kind of mock it up and see it on a t-shirt. All right, so you can mock it up on the back, you can mock it up on the front, and then what you can do here is that this does limit you to 5 megabyte artwork limit. So what you could do here is actually upload up to 20 megabyte file by clicking here. All right, this will allow you to upload your AI, PDF, EPS, PNG, and all those high quality artwork setups that you created with Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator right onto here. Once you upload that, you can leave any notes here. So for instance, if you wanted this to be 6 inches from the collar, because you know that that's where you want the placement, you could put, 6 inches, or what standard is more of like maybe 3 inches, 3 inches from collar centered. Or if it's a logo that goes on the pattern, like either on the left or the right, you could say, 2 inches from the seam or whatever it may be. You can note down those notes right here, and that way when they're going to print it, they can actually see your notes right in here and they know exactly where to place it, where they're not just like trying to do it however they feel may be right, which may not be sitting right with you. All right, so once you do that, you can just simply save it. And once you do that, you have the option to buy in bulk, buy a sample, which is something that's shipped to you so you can see the quality of it before you start selling it, or even you can start marketing it with your sample. And once you do that, you can drop ship this product. Once you drop ship this product, you're adding it to your store, and you can set a price right here, which will set it up on your store. All right, so if this costs you $10 to produce, the profit margins are at 58%, and we'll do Wake Up Yellow just for the sake of this example. From here, you can go directly back to Shopify, which will allow you to edit this product on the Shopify backend. And this is where you can add your description of your product. And this is where you can make it available onto different product channels, whether it be Facebook or Pinterest, once you integrate with those. Once you complete that product, you can go back to Applique selection and start customizing other items that you may see it works well with your line. Once you add all the products that you're envisioning and that you'd like to create, you essentially can go back to your Shopify store and see everything that you have. All right, so these are some of the products that we've been creating over the last few hours. We designed a couple things to add it to the store. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna click on the products that you wanna add. Once you have that, you could go ahead and add to a collection. The collection is gonna be the homepage collection, and it is now available on your site. So what you could do is you click on the online store, and you can actually see it and customize it to your liking. As you guys can see, Applique offers a way to preview those imagery. So if a customer comes in, they could see some of the apparel that you have. But I do recommend that you guys take photos of your own product or use a better generator in order to create, or more importantly, get some lifestyle imagery in here in order to create your guys' brand. All right, so if a customer were to sign in, they'd literally click that, they'd add it to their cart, they'd check out, and Applique would fulfill the orders that are coming in from your store. What's important to note about Shopify is that you are able to quickly customize your design. So let's select on that image. You can customize what it says here. So let's just say Ground Up Academy Store. And it is now ready to be featured. If you guys want to check out the completed store, this is obviously a mock and a test run. We're going to actually add all the different products that we've been printing with Applique onto the official Revive site, which you guys will be linked in the description down below if you guys want to check that out. If you guys want to show your support or purchase a product to see the quality of it, that way you know exactly what you're getting from Applique before you connect your brand to it, or perhaps before you spend time designing some products. Once you guys have your pages set up and you know that your products are going to be ready to be fulfilled, the next step that you should really be considering is in already launching your social media pages. All right, you don't want to wait until the products are actually available or ready to sell until you launch your Instagram or your Facebook or your Twitter or your YouTube or your MySpace page. You want to be able to have every one of those already reserved as you're building the collection and as you're building your line. It's going to be important for you guys to do that, as you need to start sharing the development of this line. You need to tell all your friends and family that you're working on this. And what better way to start corralling people than to creating the pages of where they're hanging out? And more importantly, make sure that you link to a website or a landing page that allows you to collect emails. All right, and you may be watching and saying, email is so old school. It's really not, guys. Email is not dead. People are still opening their email inbox. Chances are you watched this video by an email or through an email that somebody sent over to you. So you need to consider that for your brand as well. In order to launch a landing page, it's as simple as creating a site on Shopify with like a simple landing page. Or if you're not using Shopify, you can create a Google Docs form. A great way to start collecting leads is to offer something. So whether you guys want to give away a free sticker or a wristband, or maybe even enter in for a giveaway for a free product, these are all great ways that you can start building out your email list and start building out your followers on social media. Okay, and some great posting tips and advice that you guys should definitely consider to do also is in sharing the imagery or perhaps the products, the samples that you ordered from Applique or whoever's printing your products. You want to start sharing those on the behind the scenes basis to let people know that the drop is about to come. All right, so you want to have a good social media strategy, and that's going to be an important tip in order for you guys to continue growing your social media following, but more importantly, start making sales, which leads us into the process of actually collecting sales. All right, so some of you guys may be wondering, how do I actually collect payment for the products that I make? Well, if you signed up for a Shopify site, you're able to automatically start collecting sales as you're building out that website. If you're using a different platform, or perhaps you're going to do more of a direct to consumer approach, like selling it at your schools or out of a trunk of a car, you're going to want to consider using a mobile payment provider, whether it be PayPal, SquareUp, or any of those types of services, especially if you're going to be hitting a lot of events with the products that you make. Shopify has a great tool that allows you to easily sell from your phone and integrate to the actual cloud. So if you're selling online and you're selling in person and a product is sold, they allow you to track your inventory, which is a great way for you guys to stay on point and on track. And of course, if you're using a fulfillment company, then you're also going to need to make sure that you communicate with them. So I'm not trying to say that you need to use Shopify, but I am trying to say that you should definitely use Shopify. And there's going to be a link noted right down below to get started with a free 14-day trial. All right, guys, so you guys can literally start for free. So this, no money out of pocket. We're keeping this thing legit on how to start a clothing line with no money down, a legit way. 14-day free trial, link down below, as well as additional resources that you guys can use to actually make your brand's launch, and additional tools that you can use to start selling on there. Now, a question I frequently get is, when should you legitimize your business? Meaning, when should you get your business license? When should you file your sales tax and use license? And I would highly recommend that you do that once you prove
that your business is something that's going to be sustainable. All right, so the approach that we just shared with you guys throughout this video allows you to see if it's going to be a business that's worth pursuing in the direction and in the way that you originally planned. Okay, so by doing this approach, you don't have to legitimize your business just yet, but I highly consider that you put that on your radar and start thinking about that as you're creating and generating those sales. If you're somebody that has a lot of assets, perhaps you have a lot of cars, houses, homes, then you should consider doing an LLC or a corporation as soon as you get this business up and running to reduce those liabilities. But just keep in mind, guys, you're selling t-shirts, you're not selling baby products or something that may strangle somebody. Don't try to think too far into it, but definitely have it in your radar. Just don't put too much emphasis on it until you know that this is a business that's gonna be creating sales, because you need to make sales in order to invest into your business. And this is a great way to do that, is by doing a drop shipping and fulfillment model and fulfilling those orders through an online site, and then being able to say, hey, this is something that my customers want. So now you'll be able to invest into that company and legitimize it, knowing that you got a pretty good investment. And at the same time, it's saving you money, because you're no longer putting the couple $100 to $1,000 in structuring a business that's making no dollars. Okay, so kind of consider that as you guys are thinking about legitimizing it, because I get that question a lot. When should I do it? That's when I think you should do it, when you know that it's going to be a product that's going to be selling. Okay.
Traditionally, the apparel industry had a lot of waste. And this was because we used to shop at places called retail stores, where we'd walk in there and we expected a size to be available. And if it wasn't available, the store didn't get a sale. Now, this meant that brands had to manufacture to stock those retail stores, and manufacturers then had minimum order quantities, which is referred to as MOQ, in order to do business with any brand owner. This meant sometimes that the MOQs were pretty high. So the startup fees to start a collection were definitely up there, because you had to place minimum order quantities to actually get your designs out. But now that we all shop online and get products delivered straight to our door, the need of having to carry inventory as a brand owner has been reduced. This is why Print on Demand was born, and this is how it works. Print on Demand companies such as Printful are essentially fronting you their factory. This means that you just have to focus on design and selling, and they make and ship the products for you. The beauty about this is that you get to access the millions of dollars of equipment and thousands of products that they have available for you to start your brand. Now you may be wondering, this sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? The beauty about this is that they tell you what each product is going to cost for them to make it. Whatever you sell above that becomes your profit split. Speaking of profits, you may be wondering, how do you get the biggest margins? Because let's face it, guys, printing in bulk definitely gives you the best profit potential, but it risks putting you out of business before you even start. The reason for that is because if you wanted to make any product, you're now at the risk of having to stock a set number of units from a manufacturer. Manufacturer may say, hey, you need to do a minimum of 50 of these before we launch it. But 50 units times $30, that's $1,500. On average, brands spend $2,500 to start a collection. And if you don't sell through that, you could potentially be at a risk of going out of business. So let's dive into ways for you to increase your profits while using print on demand versus printing in bulk and going out of business. When it comes to profit margins, ideally you want to double up. And what this means is that you want to sell for 2 times the amount that it costs you to make. But then you also have to keep in mind what a customer is willing to spend. This is important because there's different costs associated with different print methods. And you have to know how to use each print method to maximize your profit potential. Because if you're only using one print method, you're definitely bottlenecking your ability to profit when using print on demand. But before we dive into the different profit potentials you have with printing, I think it's important for us to understand the different print methods available with print on demand. Let's begin with the one most commonly known in the print on demand world, and that's direct-to-garment printing, also known as DTG. This method is like a big printer that you may have at home or in school, and it actually prints on top of the products. The key is that the product has to be laid flat in order for the ink to be absorbed into it. The next method is embroidery, and embroidery is real stitches going into the garment. This means that the needle actually pokes through the product in order for it to create your design. Next is sublimation, and sublimation printing is perfect for products that are full color design. For apparel, typically sublimation needs to be printed, cut, and then sewn together, which gives it the ability to get full creative with your design and is perfect for activewear and outerwear. Sublimation also works for mugs and a variety of other products. Next is UV printing. Now this works like a home printer in that it lays the ink onto the fabric, but then an ultraviolet light known as UV lights instantly cure the ink on the product. Now this is perfect for designing phones and hard cases. And then comes inkjet printing. Now this is perfect for posters and wall art, as that it uses an inkjet printer and it applies the ink directly onto the canvas. The canvas is then framed and shipped to customers or rolled up as is. Now look guys, I know this information can really be overwhelming, but you want to know a secret? You don't have to know how any of this stuff works. But what you do have to know is how to properly design. So let's jump into that before we start diving into how to maximize your profits when it comes to design. Now you have to be aware that designs are subjective. It starts with finding a niche audience and creating designs for them. For our channel, we serve a niche audience that we call street crafters. So our designs will be for them. And if you found value in this video so far, consider hitting that subscribe button right down below. Now to start with print on demand, you do need production ready art. Now this can seem intimidating, but what this means is that your art should be designed on an artboard that is at least 2,000 pixels and 300 dpi. Now regardless of whether you're designing on Photoshop or you're using Canva, it's important that you keep these dimensions in mind. If you're not a designer, no sweat. There are resources such as Kittle that provide you templates to design products and get you production ready art. And if you want no part of this at all, Fiverr is a great place where you can find graphic designers to help you accomplish this. Now we'll link all the resources that we recommend throughout this video in the description right down below. But what's important to know guys is that you want to let your designer know to give you transparent PNGs or source file SVGs. These are the art files that are going to work best with print on demand. Now we're also going to be linking videos right up above to help you do this. Now you want to get creative with the art that you design, because a powerful feature from Printful's site is the ability to generate quality mockups that you can use to sell your products. Remember, you want to design for your niche. Consider using slogans or imagery that connects to them. Or if you have a brand, utilize the logo in a creative way and leverage wholesale blanks to elevate the design direction. Now, once your collection is designed and a customer places an order, it'll be routed to the facility closest to their home address in order to speed up shipping. Now, let's jump into the process of these products being made to show you guys how to maximize your profit potential. T-shirt printing with DTG is one of the most common methods associated with print on demand. This is also perhaps one of the lower profit margins for a new brand with no audience though. Now the prices will vary in cost, from around $12 for a basic shirt to upwards of $30 when you start printing on premium products.
And with direct-to-garment printing, essentially a big printer like this that's going to lay ink similar to what a home printer did, like we mentioned earlier. Now the one thing that you need to know about DTG is that compared to other printing methods, if your brand cannot command a higher price, your margins are going to be thinner. So think about DTG like a gallon of milk at the back of a grocery store. Everybody needs to go get that milk because it's something that's in demand. So for your brand, you should consider designing for apparel like t-shirts and then increasing your product profits with other designs that we're going to be covering throughout this video. So once you have your design completed, what you're going to see is they're going to be loading it up similar to this. And with this platen now there and your design loaded up into their software, we're just going to hit this print. Good to go. Now this is something important to keep in mind with print on demand, is that your ink and your design are going to go into the shirt. Now the shirt has a pre-treatment which allows it to actually adhere to the ink and cure your final design. But in order for this to go out successfully to the other side and for your customer to be able to wear it, it's got to get heated up in order for the design to cure onto the garment. So it is important that as you design for DTG or for any product categories, you need to keep these printing methods in mind because every print method is unique. For instance, DTG wouldn't work on a polyester fabric like a bomber jacket, but a bomber jacket would be great for something like embroidery.
Now embroidery has one of the lowest printing costs if done correctly and can have one of the highest profit margins.
Embroidery does have some limitations because it can't do full color just yet, but if you use vector imagery, it's going to get you the cleanest lines, the lowest cost, and the highest profit potential. So maybe wondering how much money can you make with embroidery? Well, it's really going to depend on the product that you create. For instance, this hat is about $16.50 total cost. We're going to be able to retail this for $32 to $40. You might only be able to double up on your costs, but there's other ways to make much more. That's using different product lines, such as bomber jackets, and some of these specialty items that can command a higher price and have a lower cost. So let's show you guys what that means. When it comes to selecting products for embroidery, this has a pretty cool touch on it. And the zipper here allows them to actually print inside. These are some of the features that you don't really think about until you start embroidering, because if you just had a regular jacket, you embroider a big design onto it, it could potentially rip off the entire product because it's stitching into the fabric. So this jacket actually has a backing in it that makes it a little stronger, and then when it's all said and done, It gets zipped up so your customer doesn't even know that this was something that was made on demand. So what we're gonna be doing with this jacket is we're gonna be printing on the back side as well as the front pocket. Yeah. As you can see, guys, embroidery definitely gives you an elevated luxury. And when it comes to choosing products, consider choosing products that you can have a higher price point for. What I mean by this is that the $60 bomber jacket embroidered can retail for $110 to $120, giving you a nice profit of $60 per sale. Now, this product won't be for everybody, but it'll allow you to bring traffic into your store, and now every other product like a hat or a t-shirt doesn't seem as expensive. And if your collection has a niche and an audience that's willing to buy, chances are you're gonna close these 120, but you're gonna close a lot more of those $30 to $40 transactions as well. Think about this in a strategy like Sam's Club or any of these big box retail stores do. They place a TV right at the front of that retail store. So now, as soon as you walk in there, you're gonna see $1,500 for that TV. You're not gonna buy it, but they place it there for a reason. And that reason is, as you're walking past that TV, now when you see that $10 bag of chips or that $50 game, you have a higher chance of you wanting to buy it because it's not as expensive as that $1,500 TV. So consider doing a similar strategy for your brand when it comes to you pricing out your collection. Have some products that are higher price and have some lower price products, because there's customers that are going to want to support at that higher level to give them a little bit of a taste of exclusivity. And if your brand can do that and demand that, you start to build brand loyalty. So now there is one drawback when it comes to embroidery, and that is that your embroidery design has to be simple, clean, and minimal. So in order to really design something that has the highest amount of creativity with incredible profits, you're gonna wanna consider sublimation. Now let's show you guys how that all dials in and get you guys some price points. Sublimation is labor intensive, as they do have to cut and sew before it ships to customers. For that reason, you should consider using sublimation on high priced products. For instance, in this collection, we created the swim trunks. Since our jacket was 110, we want our shorts to be at least 65, which allows us to double up. We'll also use sublimation for the shoes we designed that will go well with this fit. So another thing that Printful does here is they also do posters, mugs, glassware, tumblers, all kinds of different items that you can use to upsell products on your e-commerce store. And right now we actually submitted a poster art so you guys can see how it gets printed and fulfilled from their headquarters here in North Carolina. Now for the inkjet printing, we're going to be printing on posters, and what we decided to do was create a motivational message just to remind people that you should be making more than money. Now you can add a frame to increase the profit margins, or what's really cool is that you can just roll it up and ship it to your customers at a more affordable price. The goal of posters and products like this is to increase your average order cart. How you do this is completely up to you. And when it comes to posters like this, you may be wondering, what are the profit margins? Well, a frame poster runs about $30, but an unframed poster with just a picture and the image, it's gonna be $9.75. And if you go for the larger size, which is a 24 by 36, you're paying $18 for the print, and you can resell for $70, $80, depending on your artwork and your demand. And we've been seeing a lot of different brands doing that. Artists are creating collections, selling it as posters, and they're not just doubling up, tripling up. So that's how you can use posters and canvases like this to not just tell a story for your brand, but make some extra profits. Now, UV printed products are gonna work great for things such as phone cases and water bottles. Use these as accessories to upsell at checkout. Now, one of the most common questions we get on this channel is, can I rip out the wholesale tag from different companies and replace it with my own? And the short answer to that is yes and no. Yes, in the sake that you could easily rip out this tag, but no in the sense that you should be getting into the practice of replacing this tag with your own tag, because it's actually federally mandated for you to let your customers know what it is that they're wearing and what it is that they're purchasing. Because there was recently a lawsuit that the government brought onto a brand, and they literally got them for a couple $1 million because they weren't labeling their products correctly. They were ripping these out and replacing them with made in America, but they were actually made in China. When you do this, you have to replace it to where it actually came from, because you can get caught up and lose a lot of money to the government. And remember, guys, Google's watching you watch me, so if you look at this right now and you go do it, they're gonna know. They're always gonna know. If you are gonna rip out labels, you have to get into the practice of replacing them. Now, this is why wholesale blanks like Bella Canvas, they make it really easy for you to do this. Watch, check this out. I can actually just rip the brand off. Boom. Now I ripped the brand tag off, so the tag isn't on there anymore. So if you guys wanted to just, technically if you wanted to just ship it out like that, you could, and then you can add your own. You can add your own branded label on top of it, or if you want to rip all this off together, now there's no brand on the inside, and you can replace it with your own tags. And we frequently mention Bella Canvas on this channel because they make it super easy for you to use their blanks, these wholesale blanks. You can rip off the tags that easy, and now you could fully label and brand your product using their blanks, right? And they actually manufacture these blanks throughout North America. We're actually going to be linking a video right here that we did with them in case you haven't watched that video. But they get super creative and they bring the best and newest styles to market for you guys. You're able to rebuy this product at a wholesale prices. So if you register and create your wholesale account, you can buy that. Or they actually just launched a new maker account that you're going to be able to register through and actually purchase at pretty good prices directly from them. Because again, guys, they come out with the best colorways in the market. They always really expand on their color selection as well as the different fabric types. Make sure you check out the links right in the description down below to learn a little bit more from them and check out the newest styles on their website. And if you want to actually just print your products on demand, I encourage you to check out Applique's labeling option. And the reason for that is because they can actually make them for you and they'll sew them on for you onto every order that you create on your e-commerce store. So the way that they work is you just pre-purchase 100 labels. They're $1 each, so $100 for 100 labels. And then once you design your product on the e-commerce store, you could tell Applique, hey, I want my label on the hoodie here, or I want my label on the sleeve, or I want it on the patch, or I want it on a hat. They actually sew it and they ship it with your order. So they could do printing, embroidery, labeling, all in-house. And I want to show you guys how that works right now. So with print on demand, how this works is a customer will order the design that you have on your website. From that design, you have a blank that you associated to it, as well as art files that require certain labeling instructions. But it all begins with the graphic design being printed onto the, in this example, the hoodie. So we got the man, Aaron.
Hey, John.
Aaron is probably the champ of this series. You guys have probably seen him in a lot of different videos. So, dude, thank you for always helping, coming through, and like we really push. We're like, yo, you got to move this to the front, bro. We got to get this done. Once the order gets printed, it goes into this dryer, and in the dryer it cures the final art. So when it drops on the other side of this, it goes into the next process, which is the labeling. So let's go check that out. Now, whether you're ordering the labels yourself and shipping them into Applique, or whether you're ordering them through Applique, they're gonna get stored in their facility. So come check this out, guys. As you can see, like these are all the different brands that are actually storing their labels. And the best part about it is you no longer have to commit to putting these labels on a blank. The team here will actually find your registration. They'll find your label. In this example, this brand is made by a woman, right? So now this product is going to be labeled. It's going to be labeled on the sweater, and it's also going to be coming in as a hat. So let me show you guys how that's done. So in this example, we're using a beanie, and it's a certain manufacturer's beanie. So what she just did is she just printed this label. So now by printing this label, it has all the information that you're going to need as a brand. It's going to be able to be folded and then sewn right inside. So this whole thing is going to look like it comes from your company, right? So this is the inside. Private labels can be used on the inside of beanies as well as inside of hoodies or shirts. So this is an option that comes on demand, which is pretty cool. So now se lo voy a dejar a usted a hacer lo que va a hacer porque yo no sé lo que estoy haciendo. So now that we have the print done, we got the beanie sourced, the labels acquired, it's going to go into the sewing part of this. And this is where the real magic happens of your clothing designs transforming into a clothing brand. Now that the garments are handed over, it goes into the labeling. And this is where the private labeling as well as your branded labels are actually put on the garment. They still need to open up the inside of the seam to put your tag in place. And then once that's completed, they'll actually take your branded labels and put it in the areas that it needs to. So like, check this out. This is your brand's label replacing the wholesale blanks label. So doing this type of labeling on your sweater is what really elevates your brand, and the customer knows that it's actually coming from you. And now we got, oh, tiene adhesive. Well, that's cool, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. Adhesive backing on the label helps put it on there and not move it. Oh,
Quedó muy bien.
muy bonito. Muchas gracias, señor. So there you go, guys. Making one product at a time, from DTG to embroidery to fully labeling it with your brand. This is really what elevates it from just a simple product. And another thing to keep in mind is when it comes to making beanies, right? Labels are normally associated with beanies, but when it comes to the profit margins availability with using labels over embroidery, it's crazy different, right? Because all you gotta do is pay for the blank of the beanie, add a label, which can be as low as $1, and you literally have a product that you could sell for $25 plus. So the margins on this is incredibly stupid crazy, right? Stupid crazy. Really think about how you can keep your branding simple, because labels are thread, right? These are actually made thread by thread. So it's not something that's just an image or a taco truck. Let's take it back to the studio. See how simple that was in the overall outlook? Literally DTG and a label all in one place. And now the power of fully labeling and branding your brand is available for you watching. So whether you want to sew it yourself or if you don't want to sew anything, then you could focus on creating the product designs and marketing to sell to your audience by using a platform like Applique, where they make everything one by one for your brand. There's fully branded labels, things like this, that are going to help really bring your logo and your brand to the forefront. And then there's information care labels, right? You open up their product, it tells you the size of the actual garment, the percentage of cotton or polyester, and then where it's made, as well as any registration numbers for importation, and how you should wash this. At the very minimum, as a brand owner, you need to really be thinking about how can you elevate your brand by using labels such as these. You should be thinking about making labels as a way to cross-brand all of your products in a collection. Okay, so the reason that I got this Fear of God hoodie, I got it for you guys actually, because I usually like to support people in this community and I like to buy their products, but I felt that Fear of God really knocked it out the park with the label that they have here. It's literally an iconic label. And if we take a look at it, it's nothing that special, guys. You guys can literally make this yourself. You can make something like it yourself. But obviously they put some details in here where here it's this is like a PVC type of label and it's actually embossed. It has an embossed design, meaning that it's raised lettering here. Really simple, really clean. When you're wearing it and it's like just resting on its back here, what you'll see is they designed it so anybody that's walking behind the person will be able to see the brand. They're probably going to be using it on a bunch of different products, and if you guys know which products they're using it in, comment down below. Now, if we're looking at the inside of this one is really interesting because what they did is, obviously they have the Essentials branding right here, which is just like a flock design here, as well as on the back. So the Essentials hoodie on the inside, that will actually show the size, as well as where it's made. And then they also have this label, which is like a woven label, but it's actually embossed as well. So they did a really good, this nice little touch, really makes this simple sweater. Without this touch here, and if it was just a print, it would be okay. But now you add these little details here on the top of the hoodie, and then you add some flock here, which to the general public, it's like, whoa, this is so nice feeling. But you can literally do this from home, guys, and you could design it yourself and make something just like it and be able to charge 70, 80 bucks for a hoodie on a blank that you can grab from Bella Canvas. Think about using labels as a way to increase your brand's perceived value. But when you go to this level of detail, guys, and you're actually designing your own labels, it really changes the game for you because now customers aren't just seeing you as a startup brand, they're really seeing you as an established brand. But in reality, you just started it right after watching this video. Now, the common dimensions that you have is anywhere between 1 to 2 inches, meaning it's either gonna be a 1x1 or it'll be a 2x1, right? These are really common placements because this 1x1 can be sewn on beanies, it could be sewn on the hoodie, it could be sewn on a shirt. There's a lot of different placement options that you get with 1x1s. So 1x1 option is really simple. It could really be applied on multiple products, really straightforward. But then you also have the options of doing folded labels. And these folded labels, which I'll show you guys here, are also about, I want to say they're about 2.5 inches. Yep, 2.5 inches, right? So you create a 2.5 inch design, but when you sew it, it's gonna be a little bit over an inch and a quarter. And when it's actually folded, this fits really nicely on whether it's like hoodie, on the inside of a hoodie. So now instead of the hoodie just having a blank thing on the front, it's actually got it on both sides. So you can put it on hoodies, you can attach it to sleeves. So these folded labels are great for all kinds of different applications. You could also attach it to hats. And this little label here is very low cost, but again, it increases the perceived value. So when you start sourcing from really good wholesale suppliers, you add a label and then you add a print, fully elevates your entire brand and marketing. Woven labels are the most common labels. They're the soft ones, they feel good, you can put them in different areas, it's not scratchy or bulky. When it comes to clothing labels, whether you're doing something like specialized like Fear of God did, or whether you're doing woven labels like the majority of brands do, your artwork has to be crisp, meaning it can't be so complicated because look, check this out. Boom, the back is really fabric. It's actually being stitched. This is actually being like put together like a piece of material, like a piece of cloth. So you can see the little details here. So you can't do a full picture of your dog on it, but you could do a vector version of your dog and clean them up, make them more simple. Super simple vector art. Like a good friend of ours, JP, says, if you can't hand draw your logo, it's not a good logo. And it won't be a good logo to put on a brand label either. Keep it vector, keep it simple, so it's easily recognizable and it can be made by the manufacturer. So now that you know what you can expect and the limitations of labels, you may be wondering, okay, where can I place my order and get them? Now, one of the most reliable suppliers, if you're getting started and you have a lot of questions about labels, I direct you to cruiselabel.com. And if you mention From the Ground Up, they actually ship out a sample pack for free. They'll actually throw in free shipping for you guys. Cruise Label is a great resource because they really customize anything that you have in mind. So whether you want to make something like Fear of God did here, or whether you want to make something simple and straightforward, Cruise Label is an incredible resource for you guys to check out. There's also options on Google, guys. If you look up clothing labels for sale, you're gonna find all kinds of suppliers. A lot of times they'll allow you to upload your artwork and they essentially show you a mock-up of it and it'll get shipped directly from a different country. What you need to know is you really need to know what it is that you want, because if you order something thinking it's what you need but you never actually received anything from that, there may be a big disconnect. So even though you might be saving some money, you might be losing money on the back end, because you're gonna have to order multiple versions of it before you get exactly what you need. And that's the main difference between working with a supplier like Cruise Label. But again, guys, there's all kinds of options out there. I invite you to go check around and really look for a supplier that you can start doing business with and building a relationship with. Because in this business, it's all about building relationships with suppliers. If you jump around from supplier to supplier, no one will ever be willing to truly work with you as you scale up, right? But if you create a couple of key relationships and you give them business, over time, they'll want to sample for free for you. They'll want to create new products for you. They'll help you become innovative in your market, right? It's all about building relationships with suppliers.
Now, when it comes to making a custom sneaker, it's traditionally been extremely expensive, oftentimes costing over $50,000 for your first design run. So what we're gonna attempt to do today is design our own for under $50. Now, when it comes to designing shoes, there's a variety of silhouettes to choose from. What we're gonna do is go with the more classic skate shoe for this design. And with our style identified, there are two ways to approach designing. You can either hand draw the silhouette that you have in mind, but as you can tell, I'm not a sneaker designer. So luckily for us, there's now design programs that are run by artificial intelligence that allow anybody to design sneakers at a super high level. To get started, simply head to google.com and pull up an illustration of the style of the shoe that you want to create. And once I find a good image, I'm gonna download it and then take it to a program called NewArc AI. Now, the way NewArc works is that it allows you to go from your sketches to full 3D renders with prompts that you give it. And since we weren't able to draw our own design, I'm just gonna upload the sneaker graphic that I downloaded and start to give it some prompts, which are essentially commands that I like the program to do for me. So in this first round of prompts, I'm gonna ask it to take a direction of luxury streetwear inspired skate shoe. Now this program will then create the directions for me that may work, but I also want to expand my prompts to give me color palettes and what a Comme des Garçons and a Golf Wen inspired shoe may actually look like. And as you can see, in a few minutes, you can quickly fill up your sneaker direction and decide on the color scheme and places for graphics.
But one thing that this program isn't able to do is create the art that you need for manufacturing. So for that reason, we got to go to another design program, and for this one, we're going to use Kittle. Now for the design direction, I used the AI feature here to give me a couple of options of what a Gulf Wang, Comme des Garçons heart collaboration would look like. The heart that stood out to me was the bleeding heart. To me, it represents the passion, struggle, and the hard work you put in as an entrepreneur when nobody's watching. Now, artificial intelligence assisted us in getting some of the design concepts out of the way, but it still isn't able to replace graphic designers. So what I'm actually going to do now is draft up my final design manually. I'll be playing with the different color palettes for the heart, and I'll also test some paint splatter in order to wrap up the design. And with the artwork secured, it's time for the final part, the making of the sneaker. To make these sneakers on a budget, we're gonna select a print-on-demand platform that specializes in this product. We're gonna work with Printful to bring our idea to life, as they have a silhouette that closely resembles our vision. Since they have invested into the technology and factory layout, they're able to produce one sneaker at a time at a crazy low price, especially when you compare it to the budget you would typically need to launch a sneaker brand. Now the way this works is you design your product and you don't have to pay for anything until after somebody buys it. So in this example, our cost would be $45 to produce. So if we decided to sell it for $100, whenever a customer buys it from our site, we're left with a $55 profit. Printful would then ship it to our customers under our brand name, so the customer never knows you aren't stocking it and shipping it yourself. So I asked the Printful team to send me some patterns and sneakers to show how this works. Now what I want to do here is just lay out the different patterns that are associated with making a sneaker. Now what's important to note is anything important needs to be within these boundaries, because anything that you may put outside of that could potentially get cut off. So if we're looking at this sneaker right now, you'll see that there's some sewing as well as some buttonholes. If you have something important there, it may get cut. And if we're looking at the other area, which is the left inside sole, you'll notice that it has this really weird gap here. Now the reason for that is because it's got these holes so your feet don't stink. Next, we're gonna upload our art, and once we have a version that we like, we're gonna place a sample order, which will cost us $37, which you can also get with a special discount offered to anybody that's watching this video through the links down below. Now the best part is that once you're happy with your design, you could also quickly publish it to your e-commerce store or your favorite marketplace to start selling online. Printful helps you sell almost anywhere that people are buying online, from Shopify, Etsy, Amazon, BigCommerce, and even TikTok Shop. Their connection to these platforms allows anyone to start selling easily. And if you're already selling online and looking for price breaks and added benefits, they recently launched a membership program that allows you to save even more on every sale you make, giving you more money in your pockets to help you grow. We included a link in the description right down below to help get you started. After placing our sample order, it arrived in the mail today, and I'm excited to see how these came out. Okay. Okay, look at what we made. All right. Definitely impressed. As you guys could tell, this came out exactly as we designed it. We chose the black. There's another option for white, but we thought this looked a little bit cleaner for our design purpose and aesthetic. But this right here, it's calling my attention. I think people are really gonna love this. So let's go take some photos and then let's see what people actually think. The beauty of making sneakers with print on demand is that you can verify if people are gonna buy what you designed. By ordering a sample, you can quickly set up a photo shoot and share it on social media to get instant reaction from your customers. And if you want to take it a step further like we are, you can walk up to your intended audience and ask them in real life. So come with us as we head to meet with Akeem, who's the founder of New Life Kicks in Las Vegas. His background in the sneaker industry involves making custom sneakers and restoring shoes worth thousands of dollars, so he knows a thing or two about materials and manufacturing. Getting his honest reaction on the design and the construction of the sneaker will tell us if we're heading in the right direction or fail us before we even begin. So I made these shoes, all right, and I want your honest reaction, feedback, design. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions about them, but just your overall thoughts. All right, quality, all that.
Whoa! Not bad, not bad. You actually made these?
Honest reaction though, man.
Word. So, I mean, I'm not a Chuck Taylor guy, much anymore. I did rock some like classic back in the day, and I can see like the silhouette kind of mirroring that. When it comes to custom, it's always easy to notice if the shoe is custom.
What do you think of this?
This right here, it doesn't look custom. It looks like it was manufactured. And the tie-dye kind of, you know, like kind of hippie vibes you got going on is actually super dope. And I could see this design like on like different sneakers.
What are some of the cons you notice? Some of the things that you see right out the gate?
Production, I would give you a 10 out of 10 for the actual production of the shoe, right? The construction of the shoe. If you're looking for a sneaker that has like great construction, great quality or integrity like materials, this is that shoe. If this silhouette is your style, this is something that you can rock these with confidence. This isn't my style. Like the Chuck Taylor, I kind of like grew out of that, but I would try them on to see if I can pull it off. You know, I can pull off anything.
What's that shoe you wear?
10, 10 and a half.
Dude,
this looks like it's my size.
I literally Googled most common shoe size in America.
Yeah.
And I ordered that, and I didn't even know.
Yeah, this is my size. So if I was to do like a little,
let's do it. Let's try.
Like try them on. Yeah. Let me try them on. All right, cool. The rubber feels really great, man. Some of the polyurethanes that they use, like you can feel like the cheapness in it. Like, and I always do this to a shoe. Like you can feel like the quality of the shoe just by like how hollow it feels. You know what I'm saying? And this shoe doesn't feel like super duper hollow. And the material selection on it is actually really great. They actually pretty cushiony in the inside. Like Chuck Taylors are usually really thin and hard. But this right here actually has a little bit more padding and security like inside the shoe. I feel like I can probably go hooping these, man. Oh. Look, too much grip. I think I might be able to pull these off. I think I can do that. I think I can do these.
So how much would you price these at?
I'll price these at a hot $79.99. I mean, you can sell them at $100. You know, it's hard to find a good quality sneaker for less than $100.
What would your overall rating be?
I'll give them a good 9.
A good 9 out of 10?
I'd say like, being modest, like 8.59.
Okay.
If these were authentic materials, then I'll give you a 10 out of 10.
Authentic materials, what does that mean?
Like, if that leather toe cap was leather, and I wouldn't mind this canvas right here. Solid 9. Solid 9, guys. Solid 9. I'll give them a solid 9.
All right, dude.
Yeah,
Awesome,
I like it.
Guys, I was blown away by Akeem's solid rating of 9 out of 10. Hearing it from these professionals confirmed that these sneakers have a possibility for success in the market. And we even managed to get a quick photo shoot in with a staff member before we left to get additional feedback from Cool Kicks, which is a sneaker retail shop on the Las Vegas Strip. This sneaker store sells shoes worth tens of thousands of dollars, so their staff is knowledgeable on the overall sneaker market. And getting their opinion will solidify our initial idea and confirm if this is ready to sell or not. Hey guys, how's it going?
I'd rate this shoe on a scale of 10. Personally, I wouldn't wear it, but as for like a regular consumer, I'd say 8 out of 10.
Interesting, okay.
It reminds me of a CDG Converse.
Okay.
An updated CDG Converse.
Okay. Now, if you enjoyed this compilation video that team created for you, we created a very special series where we're doing a deep dive into designing and making products using AI that we're gonna link right here. And if you're feeling like taking control and really making your own elevated brand, we actually created a new series where we show you guys some tips and tricks that we're gonna link here. And if you just need additional help and resources in starting and growing your brand, we actually have free trainings, PDFs, and a community to support you in a description link right down below, right next to that subscribe button. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.